I see my man Laith here, so I'm going to go to Laith. Laith, come on. There we are. How you doing, my man? You doing okay today?
Good. How about you?
I am doing well, actually. It's Monday, so Mondays are Mondays, but otherwise I'm okay. And just for the audience, Laith Marouf, he's an award-winning multimedia producer and media policy consultant focused on issues of liberation and decolonization from indigenous nations to Arab peoples and building broadcasting capabilities for the misrepresented and underrepresented communities around the world. You can find him at Free Palestine TV or Free Palestine video, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. How you doing today? You doing okay today? You having a good day so far?
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty hot outside, so I have the air conditioner on.
That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Laith, I'm deeply curious about your opinion on what is taking place in Lebanon. The last time that I had you on, you pointed out that you thought it was going to be more difficult to get that legislation through, and that it was going to be holdups and everything. It doesn't seem like they're going to be holdups. It seems like they are pushing hard to get that legislation through. You're getting motorcycles, you're getting protests, you're getting burning tires in the streets in Lebanon, effectively saying this is outrageous, we're not doing this. It is a mass show of support for Hezbollah in this case. But it seems that the US puppet president is pushing very hard to put this and enact this into law and to try to get this done without any guarantees from Israel at all that they would either pull out or stop their attacks. Give me your thoughts. I mean, this seems like a civil war that they're effectively trying to implement.
Yeah, I mean, they are trying to do this, but there's a couple of things that people need to understand right now is that the government is still waiting for a plan by the military, led by the chief of staff, to present them how are they supposed to disarm Hezbollah, and does that plan, would it require them to confront Hezbollah? And up until now, we don't have the chief of staff, the head of the military, bringing his plan. A lot of people within the military that we saw interviews with retired generals and so on over the last week have said they don't think the current head of the military will accept such a move, that General Heikel is a patriot. They also, most probably, he will, if he comes in with whatever plans that he's ordered to present, that will include probably an assessment of what will happen inside the military if such a plan is required to be implemented. And it's very likely that there will be a mutiny, and or at least that General Heikel will tell the Lebanese cabinet that requiring the Lebanese military to confront Hezbollah militarily will lead to a mutiny within the military. And that's very normal because, a huge number of the military cadre have family members that are martyred, either as fighters and or civilians that were killed by the Zionist colony. So this is not going to be something that the Lebanese military will, willingly go into something like this. And I think there's a lot of exaggeration on what the Lebanese military can do.
Yeah.
It is less armed than ISIS or Al-Qaeda or HTS, let alone the Zionist military. And none of those military forces of Al-Qaeda, ISIS, HTS, or the Zionist colony were able to defeat Hezbollah in any confrontation. And the Lebanese military doesn't have an air force and a drone force and whatever have you, as the Israelis or Al-Qaeda had. So it's it's a dream, a delusion that the house slaves of the United States that have been, imposed as leaders in the country are, hallucinating, but they are definitely cannot achieve it.
I think the issue is more so the chaos that it causes on the attempt that they try, right? I mean, like the very act of putting that into some kind of legislation and then telling people, okay, we need you to now go out and disarm Hezbollah, which is part of the government and, represented all throughout the society. It's chaos, meaning the entirety of what they're trying to do may not be to disarm Hezbollah because they know they may not be able to do it. What they will be able to do is create a huge amount of chaos in the society on their very attempt. I guess it's that. Or you don't think that's even going to go through? Meaning you don't think that this is even going to happen, let alone they're talking it up, but it's not something they're going to actually try to materially accomplish.
Well, I definitely think they will try to do this. It's not, if we look at just what happened over the last 23 months, it's clear that the Zionists are high on the fumes of genocide. And the fact that nobody stopped them and that the West is still supplying them and arming them and financing them and giving them media cover. And we could see the Zionists occupying Syrian territory. We see the massacres in Syria and the mass rapes and killings of Christians, Alawites, Shia, Druze, and that none of that has led to any intervention by the West to stop these massacres because they're all being committed in their name. So why would the Americans and their Zionist, minions here stop themselves from doing the same to Lebanon? So the intention is there. Can they do something like that? Can they achieve the goals from it? That is, I think, where I think they are not going to be able to achieve these goals. And there's many reasons for this. One, you mentioned those demonstrations over the last few days.
Right.
One of those demonstrations, and people can look for this video online, it was hundreds of thousands of motorbikes just roaming the city of Beirut overnight in minutes. And that shows you that Hezbollah can take over every ministry, including the Ministry of Defense and the presidential palace and every military barracks within minutes if they wanted to. Okay, and so that was just a hint to the Lebanese government and military what could happen if they actually go through this. And in 2008, the Lebanese military and government at the time were trying to deliver on an Israeli and American request after the Israeli defeat of 2006 to take over Hezbollah's telecommunications network. And that day, Hezbollah took over practically all of the infrastructure of the country within hours, and then handed them over again, just a show of force. So without firing one bullet. Okay, so this was a reminder right now to anyone within the Lebanese military that thinks that somehow the balance of power changed in the country, which it didn't.
But the president has to know this. Like, meaning he has to know everything that you just said. Why would he push through something that he knows that will never come to pass?
Well, there's a bit of a differentiation between the president and the prime minister, the current prime minister, Nawaf Salam. The president comes from the military, has a history in the military, was the commander-in-chief of the military, and he doesn't have a dual citizenship. He comes from a village in the south, a Christian village in the south that was targeted multiple times, although there was never any fighters in it, by the
Yeah.
Zionists over the last war, in comparison to the prime minister, who is a dual French Lebanese citizen,
I
who lived
see.
most of his life outside the country, whose whole family and children and so on are outside the country, who doesn't belong to any political party or was in the military, so has no loyalties neither to protect his family, direct family, or his village, or his whatever party or movement he belongs to, or any sector of society. So we have to kind of differentiate the two, and there is a difference, and it seems there is some, small conflict between them on this. And the other thing about the Prime Minister Nawaf Salam is that he actually comes from a treasonous, collaborationist family, like a aristocratic land-owning family that collaborated with the Zionists since the 1917. So the grandfather of the current prime minister, Nawaf Salam, owned, bribed Ottoman officials in the 1910s and before World War I to change the land deed records of the Hula Valley. The Hula Valley is that panhandle of Palestine right now that sticks up if you look at the map, which was owned by the Palestinian and Lebanese farmers there. It's a collective ownership, and he bribed the officials and stole the land, and then sold it to the Zionist colonization organizations in the 1920s, okay, for millions of dollars. And similarly, he owned lands in Haifa. The father of the current prime minister, and sold it to settlers also in Haifa. So, his grandfather, Nawaf Salam's grandfather, was attempting to do the same with the land south of the Litani in South Lebanon, to sell it to the Zionists, try to fight the indigenous inhabitants over the land, and try to, find ways that he can falsify the records so he can sell it himself. So this is a family of treasonous collaborationists for 3 generations. Okay, so that's different than Aoun and his family and their history. And I would say Nawaf Salam right now is on a razor edge. He definitely is either gonna the whole government's gonna collapse because the Shia ministers are refusing to meet now in the cabinet, which means the whole cabinet is unconstitutional, and or something's going to happen to him if the government doesn't collapse and he doesn't pack up his bags and goes back to the bosom of France. He will be taken out very easily. I think he has no protection in the country.
Basically, he'll lose his head.
He's going to
This
lose
is
his head, or he's going to
popular.
lose his government. There's no third way around it.
Yeah. Okay. Can you explain something to me about the Lebanese government? From my understanding, it is not. It is put together in a very odd way, where there are different factions that control different parts of the government. So, if the government fall, and maybe that's not the right question. Let me ask this in a different way. If this is a tactic, what do you think the overall point of this is? I mean, is it to weaken Lebanon to the point where they could be attacked from the north by Jelani's dogs and from the south by Israel? Is it just to create chaos? Is there a larger goal at work? Especially assuming that everybody in this knows exactly what you're saying, that the Lebanese military is not strong enough to do what they're asking it to do, nor is the political situation consistent enough to accomplish that objective. So let's assume that's baked into it, and let's assume that that's known by, let's say, Israel, the US, or whoever's pushing us. Then what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, the point here is if you create enough internal chaos, the job of anybody coming from the outside would become easier, right?
Yeah.
If we already know the logical military plan for anybody that's going to attack Lebanon right now is to have HTS attack from the north and the Zionist attack not from the south, but from the east, right in the middle of the country, because now they're occupying all the Syrian side of the border, all the way to the highway between Damascus and Beirut. So they don't need to anymore enter the south of Lebanon. They can just cut the country in half, okay? And that is like a south side of the country now having no Syrian military to defend that area. In 1982, the Israelis attempted to do this as they were entering Beirut, and the Syrian military confronted them on that battlefield right there, and it was the largest tank battle in recorded history since World War II, and the largest air battle since World War II, and the Syrian military, with huge losses, still defeated the Israeli invaders. Now there is no Syrian military to defend that side. In order to achieve this, they would need some internal chaos to help them. That doesn't mean that internal chaos will defeat Hezbollah by itself. But if you have internal chaos and then Israel invades from the east, not from the south, and the Wahhabi death squads invade from the north, then Hezbollah has a harder time defending the country, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay.